All right, let's dive in. We're about to tackle a detective story, but this one is tens of thousands of years old. It's a story that's really our story, all about our most ancient relatives, and it centers on a Nobel Prize winning scientist who uncovered a secret that connects every single one of us. So think about this for a second. What secrets are actually hiding deep inside our own DNA? I mean, what can our genetic code really tell us about the dawn of humanity? Well, it turns out there's a whole lost chapter of human history written right there in our genes. It was just waiting for someone to finally figure out how to read it. So here's our game plan for cracking this case. First, we're going to meet our lost relatives. Then, we'll look at the DNA enigma they left behind, a puzzle that seemed impossible to solve. After that, we'll meet the pioneer who found the key, and you'll see the shocking family reunion he uncovered. And finally, we'll explore what it all means, the legacy of these ancient genes inside us today.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning with the main characters in this ancient cold case, our long-lost relatives.
You know, for centuries, all we really had were bones, just fossils of ancient relatives like the Neanderthals, who, by the way, walked the earth at the same time as our direct ancestors. And yeah, these bones could tell us a bit about what they looked like, but they left the biggest questions totally unanswered. Like, who were they, really? And the big one, where did they go? Why did they vanish while we survived? The trail had gone completely cold. But here's the thing. The biggest clue, the key to solving this whole mystery, was right there all along, hidden inside those very bones. It was their DNA. But this ultimate piece of evidence was, well, a total mess. It was damaged, it was contaminated, and for decades, pretty much every scientist on the planet considered it completely unusable. Think of it like this. Imagine you find a library full of ancient, priceless books, but the second you touch them, they crumble into dust. That is exactly what scientists were facing with ancient DNA. It was seen as a total dead end, an impossible puzzle. All this incredible information was right there, but it was just completely unreadable. So why was it so hard? Well, there were three huge problems. First, the age. We're talking tens of thousands of years. Over that time, DNA just shatters into these tiny little fragments, making it almost impossible to piece together. Second, contamination. A tiny bit of modern DNA from bacteria or even just a researcher's fingerprint could totally overwhelm the ancient stuff you're trying to find. And third, chemical decay. The actual letters of the genetic code would change over time, corrupting the entire message. So it wasn't just one problem. It was like fighting a war on three fronts at once, against time, against contamination, and against chemistry itself. But like in any great detective story, right, it just took one person who refused to give up, one persistent mind, to find the key that could finally unlock this impossible mystery. And that scientist's name is Svante Pääbo. This guy literally dedicated his entire career to achieving the impossible. He spent decades developing brand new methods, refining his techniques, just constantly pushing the boundaries of what science thought was possible. And all for one single goal: to read the unreadable and pull those genetic secrets out of the dust. And guess what? He actually did it. This is the payoff, the climax of his whole quest, the Nobel Prize. We're talking the biggest award in science, given to him for his incredible discoveries. He had managed to sequence the entire genome. That's the complete genetic instruction manual of our ancient relatives. So the big question is, after all that work, what did he find? Okay, but before we get to the big reveal, let's just quickly define a key term from that Nobel Prize announcement: extinct hominins. What does that mean? Basically, it's the group of human-like species that are our closest evolutionary relatives, but, well, they don't exist anymore. So think Neanderthals, or another mysterious group called the Denisovans. These are our closest relatives on the big family tree of life. All right, and this is where the story takes a really shocking turn. Because what Pääbo discovered didn't just answer the question of who these ancient people were. Oh no, it revealed something much, much bigger. A completely unexpected family reunion. See, for a long, long time, the old story went something like this. Our ancestors, Homo sapiens, came out of Africa and just completely replaced everyone else, like the Neanderthals. Simple, right? Well, Pääbo's work blew that whole idea out of the water. He revealed a much more interesting and much more intimate truth. We didn't just replace them. We met them. We mingled with them. And yeah, we had children with them. And that is the absolutely incredible conclusion. The proof was in our own DNA all along.
It turns out that many modern humans today, especially folks with ancestry from outside of Africa, carry a small percentage of Neanderthal or Denisovan DNA. Think about that. These ancient people, they're not entirely gone. A little piece of them is still alive, right now, inside us.
So, okay, what does all this mean for us today? Because this isn't just some fascinating piece of ancient history trivia. This discovery has really profound implications for understanding who we are right here, right now.
So why does this matter so much? Well, for one, it completely reshapes the human family tree. It's not a simple branching tree anymore. It's more like a complex interwoven web. It also gives us this amazing genetic map to trace how our ancestors migrated all across the globe. And here's the really wild part. Scientists are now figuring out how this ancient DNA actually affects our health today. We're talking about everything from how our immune systems fight off viruses to our risk for certain allergies. It just proves that our human story is so much richer and way more connected than we ever imagined. And all of this brings us to one last big question. We've managed to crack open the genetic storybook of our past, right? And it revealed a story that completely changed how we see ourselves. So, as we get better and better at reading our own DNA, what stories, what warnings, and what incredible possibilities are just waiting to be discovered about our future?